So the first thing that I did was go and through all of my accounts, put them all in one place. In the States, we have an app called Mint that we can use to put all of our debts, our assets, our cash accounts, and our property. And then I was able to get a really clear picture of, okay, well, here's all the debt, but also here's all the assets that I have. And at the time, it wasn't a lot, but I had some assets too. And I started to think more in terms of my overall picture and not just feeling like I'm drowning in debt. Right? So that's the first thing I always tell other people to do, is to focus on the overall picture and don't just focus on the debt piece. Then the R stands for reverse into independence. And so I try to take that really big goal and reverse it back into smaller chunks to the point where I felt like it was manageable. So as an example, the first debt that I was really focused on tackling was my $72,000 of student loans. And so I said, well, I have no solution for how to pay off $72,000 of student loans, but how about if I were to break this down into smaller chunks? So pie in the sky, I would love to get it paid down in 2 years. That seems like a really lofty goal, but you know what? If I fail, worst case scenario, I'm still going to be better off than how I was before. And so I said $72,000 divided by 2 is $36,000 a year. Wow, that's more than what I make in salary. That still feels really overwhelming, so let's keep reversing back. So $36,000 divided by 12 months is about $3,000 per month. Still feeling overwhelmed? Okay, let's go reverse more by week. $30,000 per month is about $750 per week. And then I was like, okay, well, if I were to focus on this daily, it would be a little over $100 a day, right? So $750 is a little over $100 a day. So as you can see, it's not perfect math, but the point was to say, okay, I may not be smart enough or capable enough or confident enough that I can figure out $72,000, but am I smart enough to figure out $100 a day, even if I don't do it every single day? And so I started out with just making $100 moves, basically. Like, okay, for example, like if I had $100 in my bank account, I would just use it and pay it straight towards the debt. And that would be my $100 for the day. And another day, I would sell $100 worth of stuff on Facebook. And it's like, okay, that's my $100, and I put it towards my debt. Now, the key, obviously, was to actually take the money and put it towards the debt and not just use it towards other things. And then the U in Crash stands for understand your net worth. And so that's where I really started to look at my total picture and say, well, are there other ways other than just, trying to make more money that I could maybe reallocate some things and find other ways to save money on other parts of my net worth? So for example, I refinanced my mortgage at the time to a lower interest rate. I was able to move some money into a high yield savings account so that it would earn a little bit more interest. I would go through every account on my list and say, is there any way that I could squeeze more money out of this without having to do extra work, other than maybe pick up the phone or talk to the bank or something like that? And then the S, and this is probably the most critical part of how I was able to pay off the $300,000, was to spend intentionally. And I don't like the idea that budgeting is restrictive. I really shifted on changing my mindset to say, you know what, I'm not spending money on this thing right now so that I can make space for this thing instead. So during that time period, I would love to say that it didn't come at a sacrifice, but I definitely, for the 2 years I was paying off student loans, I didn't go on as many vacations. I had to tell my girlfriends at the time who were, at that time I was having a lot of weddings and baby showers and all those things. And I had to tell my girlfriend sometimes, I'm like, pick one of these events that you want me to go to. I can't go to all the things, right? And we really got on a very specific budget, and we did it every single month, my husband and I, and that really changed the game in both our mindset and also our practical spending habits. And then the H, which is the last piece of it, is heal your money wounds. And it's to me, it's the hardest step, and it's why it's like the last thing, is that as I was going through this whole process, as I'm sure it is for a lot of people, going through all of these finances, like really changed how I was thinking in terms of like creating a lot more anxiety during that time, like facing it head on. And I realized that I had a lot of different money stories, especially as an Asian American, of how my parents told me I should spend money, how I felt like a failure when I wasn't doing things right. And so the biggest thing I did for myself during that time was I actually committed to weekly therapy. And that actually was a very, very big change in my overall personal finances, because I realized a lot of stuff that was tied to my money was because of, past trauma and, lack of self-worth. And that to me was probably the biggest and best investment I made into the journey overall.
Wow. A lot of sacrifices and healing, and that's incredible.